Can you tell us what is compassion-focused therapy? Because it sounds like some beatnik, liberal, soft and fluffy thing. Certainly not something a real man would take part in.
I got whiskey.
Compassion-focused therapy, it's about using compassion to work with difficult emotions. And by compassion, a lot of times, again, when people, particularly men, and I've done compassion-focused therapy groups for anger in prisons, right? So these were some tough dudes.
Oh.
And I've had guys literally rolling their eyes at me. I said, we're going to do compassion-focused therapy. And they roll their eyes at me because they hear compassion and they think, oh, compassion. Oh, let's all be nice and sweet and let everybody off the hook and give everybody everything they want. And that's what
kittens.
They think. Yeah, kittens and cotton candy and ice cream and, all that stuff's great. But that's not what compassion is. Compassion actually is about what we do when shit gets real. Compassion is about what we do when suffering shows up. And what happens is if you look at the major forms of mental illness, the things that really, in many cases, anxiety disorders, depression, things like that give us real emotional problems, what happens is people suffer. They're having a hard time. And they tend to meet that suffering with avoidance, right? We just distract ourselves or pretend that it's not happening or self-attacking. The fact that I'm having the struggle means something bad about me, means I'm weak or soft or whatever. And compassion is a different way of relating to suffering that involves turning towards it and going, oh, wow, this is really hard. Acknowledging that you're suffering or acknowledging that someone else is suffering. And then just asking the question, given that this suffering is here, what would be helpful in working with it? And that's why the masculine gender norms are so tricky, because if I can't even look at it and admit to myself, oh, I'm scared or I'm anxious or I'm sad or I'm torn up or I'm heartbroken, if I can't even admit that, then how do I work with it helpfully? Then I can't even ask the question, what would be helpful? Because I'm not even acknowledging that it exists.
So when you're in a group setting, social setting where that's almost punitive to be open and vulnerable, and if you work a job where you can't afford or have the time to feel those things because you're reacting most of the time, and it becomes almost impossible to recognize that it's okay to have a reaction as a red flag rather than something that is going to be your identity forever because you opened up to something. I don't know, I'm going to an extremes because it makes me think of mindfulness stuff that I learned in the VA. And I sat in a room with people who were in the thick of the war. These are people who are broken to the point where they can't be in society functional. Like they don't have jobs, 100% disability, they can't function. And we learned mindfulness. We learned how to treat things as a red flag and recognize it, so that would give us the ability to sense why are we specifically feeling this, so we could unpack it and learn how to go through this and use it as a tool and become more healthy. And I think a lot of people in a lot of groups just avoid that altogether. And I think that goes to what you're talking about.
That's what you're describing, Dr. Kolts, is mindfulness. This ability to just simply the act of identifying the emotion you're feeling can often be healing in and of itself.
Well, what's interesting is there's actually research on this. When we name an emotion, when I say, oh, I'm angry, the part of the brain, the amygdala, that helps fire off that anger gets turned down. The volume gets turned down a little bit. So simply by doing what you guys are talking about, mindfully noticing, oh, this is what it's like right now. What am I feeling? And naming it, you help soften the intensity of the emotion. Man, but all that begins with sort of acknowledging that we're feeling it.
Man, I'll tell you what, 478 has given me my life back. Breathe in for 4, hold it for 7, breathe out for 8, repeat as needed. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Take a few seconds.
It helps so much. People think, oh, you want me to slow down my breath? I mean, what that's going to do. And what they don't think about is your breath, your body is connected directly to the emotional parts of your brain. So when your heart's racing and your blood pressure's all tense, that's part of what your emotional centers of your brain, that's part of the information they're getting. So they think, oh, my blood pressure, I must be really threatened. I must be really angry or really scared, right? But when we slow down our breath, not only are we shifting our body, but we're sending messages to the brain that indicate, actually, I'm okay. I'm a little calmer now. And that helps soften the brain. And that affects how we think, too. So I'm so glad you said that, Johnny, because slowing down our breath doesn't just affect the body. It changes the brain. It affects how we think. And so I think slowing down the breath is the single most powerful psychological technique we have.
It's definitely helpful. I mean, if you remember to do it, if you put it in your mind that, this is the kind of training that they gave us in the military. It's like they don't train you not to react, they train you how to react. So it's not about not reacting. If you're not reacting, that's part of the problem, because you're getting a flag and you're ignoring it and you're just passing the signs, and ignoring those signs can be, in my experience, detrimental to your health in a very powerful, potent way, where you will lead a life that's not your own in a way. It'd be driven by it rather than driving it.
Well, if we're always just reacting to our emotions or getting caught up in them rather than working with them, it's hard to be in control of our behavior.
Yeah.
Right. Much better if we can mindfully notice, I'm kind of angry right now, rather than just running with it and saying or doing something that's going to cause problems in our lives. If we go, wow, I'm really angry right now, I wonder what would help. Do I want to send that email? Or should I slow down my breath for a little bit and take a walk? Yeah.
Yeah, that 478, I freaking love. It's like almost literally a reboot of the mind. Because when you're stressed or anxious, we breathe faster. That's just our physiological response to those emotions. To actually change that breathing pattern, you're rebooting your body, your mind, your spirit. And I mean, it's crazy because I'll do it and it's just breathing. We do it all the time, right? We're constantly doing it. Why is that such a big deal? Oh, okay.
I try not to.
Okay, fine, fair enough. You're one of those no breathers.
Hers only breathes twice a month.
That's right. Not a mouth breather, a no breather.
That's like the next flat Earth movement is the no.
No breath movement.
Breathing comes from the government, and it's the way that they control us. Okay, so I'm going to stop breathing.
I predict that movement will be short-lived.
Man, I hope so.
I think we set that one
to
up.
me, flat Earth is just a way to be mad at the world, and just to it's like focused controversy of a way. Like, I'm going to be part of something despite however wrong it is.
It's a global issue.
Well, my favorite meme on it, is if the Earth was flat, the cats would have already pushed everything off of it. Right?
SexyDadJokes.com.